In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a 1 hour cold outreach masterclass so you can sign your first copywriting client in 2026. I know how important this is and I know how difficult it is to kind of just feel lost in the sea of outreach. So I'm going to be handing you the exact systems I have used to sign 5-figure copywriting clients. Over my 2 years doing this, I know all the outreach secrets. I know what works, I know what doesn't, and that's why I'm making this video, because there's way too much like just BS out there, information on outreach. I want to give you guys a full, completely free A to Z course you can walk away from genuinely knowing how to sign your first client. So before we actually start with this entire video, I want you to pretend that you just gave me $10,000 and now I'm sending you this video. You paid me 10K for this video and I want you to watch it entirely like you gave me 10 grand. Because realistically, if I just say, hey, here's this free course, you are not going to use it as much as if you saw $10,000 leave your bank account, because you need to make this money back. So I want you to feel the pain of losing 10 grand for this video and now knowing that you have to use the information in this video to actually make it back. And before we actually get started, I just want you to sit there, close your eyes for a second, and visualize that you just paid me $10,000 for this, because this information not only is worth $10,000, but if you don't feel some sort of pain at the start of this video, you're not going to take it seriously, you're not going to watch it in full, and you're just going to click off and go back to TikTok or whatever. So let's get right into this. I don't want to waste any of your guys' time. And before we get into anything outreach principles wise, I need to explain one simple concept that we'll be referencing for the entire video, and that is pattern interruption. This is the most important thing when it comes to outreach. And I'm going to give a little visual here. So we here have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue lines, and we have 1 red line. Now, if we take a blue line here, let's say these blue lines are your competitors. I'm going to put versus, and then the red line is you. This should be the goal of what you are trying to do in outreach, because I can tell you from sending thousands, and I mean thousands of cold DMs, thousands of cold emails, and thousands of cold calls, I can tell you that somebody's DM inbox or their cold email inbox looks exactly like this, right? A bunch of the same lines, of the same words, of the same exact BS over and over again. If you can find a way to be the red sheep in this sea of blue sheep, that is what is going to make you stand out. And I can promise you, if you can have this attitude of, I'm just going to go for the pattern interrupt, I'm just going to go to make them, like, whoa, that was a creative DM. Like, what is that? Like, this is cool. I actually want to hear this guy. You are going to have such better results. And we're going to go over how to do this entirely in this entire video. Don't worry, I will cover this. But you need to understand that this is the mindset that you need to have for the entire duration of your time doing cold outbound outreach. You need to be thinking, how can I pattern interrupt the person that I'm reaching out to? How can I stand out? And how can I be the creative guy that's like, whoa, this is working really well. Like, all my prospects are like, yo, I really respect the hustle. I really respect the outreach, right? Like, that was a really creative way to message me. Those are the key indicators of what this is. But this visual always did it for me. And if that doesn't do it for you, I want you to look at this. I want you to imagine this is your prospect's DMs. I use ChatGPT to create this image for a reason. Everything in here is quick question, just checking in, bumping this up. Hey, name. You need to think that this is your prospect right here. You need to be thinking that they're staring at their computer, staring at 500 Instagram DMs or 500 cold emails, like, what on earth? I'm getting so many of these and they all suck and this is just horrible. You need to think like this. So let's get into some key principles now of how we can actually start with cold outreach and sign our first client. So before we get into any of that, it's a long video. I got to have something to sip on, I want to talk about why cold outreach fails and why people that do cold outreach turn their wheels and just kind of stay frustrated in a state of like, well, I'm sending my DMs, I'm sending my emails, and then they just stay kind of stuck. So let's talk about the main core problem. Most cold outreach does not fail because of bad copy. Because realistically, right, I want to show you guys another visual here. Bad copy is not the reason that your cold outreach is failing. It might be, but if you're not getting responses, it's not that. So look at this real quick here. If I take this and I have a 4-line DM, right? Let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4-line DM, right? Now, probably what's going to get opened is this, right? So let's say here we have, hey, John, I had an idea for your business, and then it continues. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that their entire script is the issue. Well, if you're not getting responses, you guys need to understand what it looks like in somebody's DM is this is all they see in their request tab, right? So you're obviously trying to get out of the request tab, but they don't see this moving forward. They don't see this. They don't see this. They don't see this. So whatever you put down here, don't even just exit out. It doesn't even matter. You don't even have to think about that. If you're getting 0 responses, you need to be focusing on your first initial opening line. And that is one of the biggest core mistakes I see people make that fail with cold outreach is they focus on like, what they'll do is they'll keep this, right? They'll keep the same opener. And if you're doing this right now, it's okay. Just note this down so you can fix it. They'll keep the same opener right here. Like, hey, John, I had an idea for your business. And then they'll change like line 2, 3, and 4. But it's like you still have a in the red initial message. And if nobody opens this, nobody is going to get to here. Nobody's going to get to here. Nobody's going to get to here. And nobody's actually going to book a meeting with you. So it's one of those things where like you really need to keep that in mind when you are sending your messages, is that people only see a small fraction of the actual copy. So obviously speaking, you can have a really good opener and have bad copy in the body, and we'll get to that later. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that later. But it's not going to, you're not getting responses because the copy of the script is bad, because they can't see 90% of the script. Copy and your average fails because it assumes that the prospect is evaluating you. Cold prospects always, whenever you're dealing with cold traffic, whether you're running an info product, whether you are trying to do outreach, they are just sitting there deciding whether or not they want to engage with you at all. And if they don't engage with you, they don't have to make a decision, and a decision is painful, and nobody wants to be in a state of pain. Nobody does. And keep in mind, we have a lot to go through in this video. If everything I'm going through right here is important to fundamentally build to the next stage of this. And I can fully promise you that if you keep watching this in its entirety, I'm giving you the exact systems I've used to close some of my best clients that have done over multi-$100,000 months in the info product space. And if you are watching this as an offer owner as well, and you are interested in me partnering up with you and helping you scale your business, I'll leave a link down there below for you. We can chat about that too. And if you are a copywriter and you are trying to sign more clients, you're trying to learn how to scale info products, make sure to check out some other videos after this too, because I think there's a lot of sauce in here. And I really just want to make sure that everyone watching this walks away feeling like they got $10,000 worth of information. That's my only goal with this video. So let's go back into this here. They don't have to engage with you. They don't have to actually decide whether or not they want to work with you. So you don't want to frame it yourself in a certain way, right? So you need to frame yourself extremely clearly, and you need to understand human psychology with this. So the key things I would say: clear, polite, clever. CPC if you want. You can make a little acronym out of it. But you need to also understand what prospects are actually doing when they see cold outreach. They're not going to judge your offer because they haven't even judged your message yet. They're not comparing other options because 90% of the time you're probably pitching them something that they don't even really know they need. They're not even going to ask you, is this even good? They're going to ask 3 key questions. Is this relevant to me? Is this going to waste my time? And do I need to deal with this right now? Because one of the most common objections you're going to get is reach out to me next month, right? Or reach out to me in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, whatever. But your prospects are going in skeptical of these key 3 things here. So write these down, take a screenshot of them. I'll zoom in, so if you guys want to take a screenshot on your laptop, or if you're listening to this on your phone or something, I'll repeat this because it's so important you have this written down. Is this relevant? Is this going to waste my time? Do I need to deal with this right now? This is what's going through your prospect's head. And I'll tell you guys, the best outreach advice I ever got was think in the heads of your prospects. So why does your message get ignored, right? So if you're getting ignored, you're getting rejected. And if you're getting ignored, no one's engaging with you, and you have no emotion, you have no logic, and you have no decision, right? And silence literally just means the message never earned the mental priority of your prospect. So we'll talk about the personalization here. So personalization usually gets somewhat of an attention if it's done correctly, right? You don't want to be sending general messages like, hey, I can help scale your offer. Looms usually assume kind of interest. Clever openers usually assume curiosity. And if you're in a service like marketing and copywriting, this is sort of a way to show, not tell, that you're good at what you do. Because if you can get the attention of a, 8-figure CEO through Instagram DMs, through a clever message, and you're trying to pitch a marketing, it's like, I kind of like the way your brain thinks. That's how they're going to kind of take this angle here, which is super important. But remember that cold prospects don't have any of these things yet. So you need to put in the effort to do so. So I want you to understand a few things here when it comes to frame messages. Long messages usually will increase the friction in your sales process. And all this means is that the longer your message is, the worse it's going to perform, always as a general rule. Videos, whether they're in-app videos or Loom videos, usually will help increase the commitment of people, build more trust, and also explaining your offer too much will actually increase the pressure of the prospect, make them not want to get on a meeting with you. Cold prospects will always try to deal with this later, and that just means they are going to deal with it never. They are always going to fully ghost you if you let them deal with this, like, I'll deal with this later thing, right? So this goes back to all you're doing, and I'm going to keep drawing this out because I really just want to hammer it into everybody here. All you are doing is literally just being, actually let me make this a little better here. All you are doing is literally just being the red line in the sea of blue lines, right? So we have three blue lines here, 3 red lines here, right? And what I mean by this is usually there's going to be other people that are being more creative with you, right? If the prospect has, let's say, 400,000 followers, typically they're going to be getting hit up by other people, right? And usually there's going to be other people whose outreach messages are pretty good, right? And as you go into more, higher followed prospects and higher, clouded prospects, if you want to call it that, the ratio is going to look more like this versus like this, right? Where it's not just you that's standing out. It's like maybe you and 3 other people. But what's funny here is these odds are still way better than these odds. So again, I can't hammer this home enough. You are playing a game of standing out amongst the crowd. So let's go into understanding our prospects a little bit more now, because this is one of the key things that is really going to help you when it comes to how to actually frame your messaging. Because if you don't understand who you're selling to, you're never going to be able to sell to them in the first place, and this whole thing just falls apart if you don't understand the prospects. And that's why I think, in my opinion right now, there's so much of an issue with all the content going around about how to sign clients and cold outreach, because all anyone wants to do is hop on and be like, this is the best cold DM script. Well, newsflash, if you don't know who your prospect is, or you don't understand their psychology, no matter what script you use, it's going to flop because you don't even know who you're talking to, right? So I want you to understand some basic, pretty universal principles of prospects. Disclaimer here, not every prospect is going to be thinking like this. You are going to run into prospects that are just a gold coin out of 1,000 people occasionally. And it's awesome, and congratulations when you find one, because it's the best feeling in the world, and if you do enough volume, you will find it. However, 99% of the people you're going to be reaching out to are going to be in this state. So let's go over the prospect's mental state. They are busy, they are distracted, They are context switching all day. These people are running companies. They are building businesses. Their Instagram DMs is like the last thing that they care about. Their inbox they see as interruptions. They don't really see it as opportunities because I'll be honest with you guys, a lot of CEOs have really big egos. They don't think that they need any help, and you kind of have to get clever when it comes to telling them that they do. Because I'll be fully honest with you, I've been doing this for a long, long time. It's very rare to find somebody who you DM and they're like, oh yeah, I actually do have this problem. Because it's like if someone's aware of a problem, why haven't they fixed it? Just go fix it yourself. Like you know you have the problem, go fix it. Oftentimes you're going to be pitching people who don't know that they have an issue that you need to fix, and it's your job to convince them that they do it. And their default thinking mode is always going to be ignore this unless I'm proven otherwise. So we got to play some offense here, right? Your prospects on defense, you got to play some offense. And remember this, I'm going to put this in red. They did not ask to hear from you. I'm going to underline this too. They did not ask to hear from you. There's no part of them that was like, woke up that morning and was like, oh, I really hope somebody DMs me today about scaling my coaching program. It just doesn't happen. And if that hurts to hear, well, I'm sorry, it's the truth. And I'm not going to lie to you guys on this channel. That's not what we do here. So remember, people are open to curiosity. They're not interested but skeptical. They are uninterested until proven relevant. Same thing here. Remember, they didn't ask you to DM them. So they are always going to be uninterested until they are proven relevant. Curiosity is never the starting state. Safety is. Safety is always where they're going to be, right? They're going to want to be just chilling, running the business the way they're doing it. It's painful for them to go spend money on something. They don't want to do that. That sucks. Why would they want to do that? So they like where they're at. They don't feel a need to move unless you convince them to move. So let's talk about the first filter. All I mean by the first filter is I want you to imagine like your prospect is sitting there on their phone and they open your DM. This is what they are going to be thinking. These are typically, there's probably a few more, the main three things. So why is this person messaging me? So obviously when you get a text from a random person, you get a DM from a random person, the first thing you're going to go, what does this person want? Why are they reaching out to me? Second, is this automated? We live in a world with AI now. We live in a world with ManyChat. Like there's a high chance this is just an automated text that I'm just dealing with. Is this going to cost me time or energy? People don't want to give up their time. People don't want to give up their energy yet. You might be asking, like, why is money not on here? This is a super good question. 9 times out of 10, they just know, right? If you're cold DMing someone on Instagram, nobody's going to cold DM somebody and be like, hey, I want to just help you for free. Like, it's just not going to happen. So they just assume that it's going to cost something, which it does. And you need to understand that they're thinking about these two things. They, in the back of their head, they know you're going to charge them, right? And the other thing here is that they will read the entire message and be thinking this on line 1. So don't think that like you can handle all these on line 6 of the DM. Like they're going to read these, on line 1. So they're going to be asking these 3 silent questions as well. Why me? Is this going to waste my time? What do you want from me right now? And if any answer feels unclear to them, they are not going to respond to you. They're just going to leave you unseen or leave you unread. And let's talk about this. Can we talk about playing offense and defense? But let's talk about why most messages trigger defense. And I said most here because not all of them do. And that's what we're going to get to later in this video, is how to craft messages that don't trigger defense in the prospect. So your introductions are just going to signal a pitch is coming, right? If somebody knocks on your door of your house in a blue colored shirt and they're riding a Segway and they have a clipboard in their hand and they ask you how much your electricity bill is, they're probably signaling like, hey, I'm going to pitch you solar, even though they haven't pitched you yet. And you're probably like halfway through slamming the door and pointing out the window to the no solicitor sign in your front yard. I'm completely making this up here. But remember that anytime somebody is signaled that they're getting pitched, they don't like it and their guard goes up, right? It's like In boxing, if someone sees your shoulder moving, they're going to throw a jab, you anticipate it, you bring your hands up, right? Explaining your services will always signal obligation to the prospect. They're always going to be like, this sounds like a lot of work for me, and I'm coming out of pocket. I don't want to do this. Big promises also signal risk. This is another one. A lot of you people that are watching this that are a bit more experienced will come in and be like, I made this person $10 million. It actually, I almost think you're better off not saying that. And long messages also signal time cost. Think about it like this, right? Like if I send you a 15 line Instagram DM pitching you something, you're probably going to think that this is going to cost your time because it just took you a bunch of time to read it. So don't show them that this is going to be more work for them in your first message by writing a long message. Remember, defense to them, it's just silence. People are just going to leave you on red. There's no reason for them to respond to you. They don't need to do that. They can just leave you on red. That's their frame of defense. Like it's super easy. There's nothing that they need to do. Like they just don't respond. So let's talk about interest-based copy and why it doesn't work, right? Interest-based copy, tries to spark curiosity, it tries to impress, tries to stand out. It requires like emotional engagement a bit too early, and cold prospects don't really like opt into this, right? Safety-based copy does work. Low pressure, low commitment, low time requirement, clear intent, and it's easy to ignore or respond to. I always say like if your prospect can respond in one word, that's a good outreach script. And remember, it's like, I always say with this is you could have the best offer in the world, right? You could have the greatest, most amazing offer for that prospect, but it's kind of like going on a date, right? Like if I am going out on a date and I'm, on dinner with somebody and it's the first time meeting them and I'm telling them what a great husband I would be like, what? Like I met you 2 hours ago. It's the same thing here, right? Like no matter how good of a husband I would be, no matter how many like pink G-Wagons I would buy my wife, it's still the first date. And it's just going to scare them away. So it's the same thing with sales. Dating is ironically such a good way to look at sales too. It's actually kind of funny how similar they are. So 70% of these interests, right? So emotional versus cognitive load. Every message should ask for attention, interpretation, and decision, right? So the more that you ask, the less likely they'll reply. And replies only happen when the load feels trivial. So this is probably my favorite thing I'm going to talk about this entire video. Why value is misunderstood. So value is never information, it's never insight, and it's not advice. All value is relevance with minimal cost, right? What is something that's relevant to me that doesn't cost me anything, that I walk away from the DM going, wow, okay, like amazing. That's actually, that's actually pretty cool. It can be in the form of this, but where people go wrong with this is they'll be like, oh, hey, John, I want to pitch you my copywriting services. I'm an email marketer, and email marketing is great because X, Y, and Z. That's just giving them information, right? It's not relevant to them. It doesn't do anything for them. So relevance with minimal cost is the thing you should be thinking of with value. So I want you to think of a micro permission frame. You're not selling a call. You are not selling a service. You are selling a reply, a sentence, a yes or no, because one micro yes unlocks the next steps. I always say, and I'm going to draw this diagram, right? Your script doesn't matter to get opens. So your script quite literally never matters to get opens. All we're trying to do is use the first 5 little lines of our Instagram DM to get in the person's, to get the response, right? We get moved over to the primary inbox. I'm going to write PM here. We get moved over to the primary inbox. And now I'm going to be down here, right? I'm going to be getting my first response, and then I'm going to try to move up the next level of sort of giving an introduction, saying what I do, all that. I'm going to move up to the next level, get them interested, move up to the next level. Maybe I, right here, I book a meeting. I book a meeting right here. So this is how this works, right? All we're trying to do is just get to here. Primary inbox. All roads lead north to this. This is the most important thing to get into. And we're going to do that by following these exact principles and understanding the people that we are actually reaching out to in the first place. And remember, I'm going to go back to this once again, the more green lines there are, the more likely your red line is going to be the one that connects and gets you here in the primary inbox. So super important to remember, pattern interruption. Stop looking like everybody else. It's really just not good. And if you want to know what everyone's inbox look like, 9 times out of 10, this is some variation of hey, name. I get a lot of average messages, so I can speak on this. 9 times out of 10, the green messages are going to look like hey name, and the red messages are going to look like quite literally anything else. So remember that it's always just going to be hey name as the ones that don't stand out. So let's talk about a core system of outreach and some principles that you can copy, and then we'll get into some more technical stuff as far as principles. Show you guys some decent outreach methods here. Show you how to track. Give you a tracker, show you how to use it, and we can kind of get into prospecting and stuff like that later. So, cold outreach framework, core system. So the first message is not to sell, not to explain, not to impress. The only goal is to get to here. We need to get in the primary inbox, because what happens in the primary inbox, right, is that when somebody DMs me, I have my primary messages here, and I have my requests here, right? We got both. When somebody DMs me that's in the primary inbox, when I open Instagram, I think this is like what the Instagram logo looks like here. If I open Instagram, this is a horrible Instagram app icon. If I open Instagram here and I go to the little, this thing, the little messages box, I go to PM. I go to here. And all the messages that I've got, all my little messages are going to be showing up right here. And this does not change, right? This always stays the same. Anyone that's in here, so this guy's in here, this guy's in here, maybe this one's a girl, she's in there, this dude's in here, this dude's in here, right? All of these people stay here. So why is that even important? Well, if you are in the primary inbox, and you send me a message on, let's say this message was down here on Thursday, and you send me another message, well now, if I open my Instagram DMs, it's going to be at the top of the list. It's not going to be over here. We don't want to be in requests. So remember, the first thing is that your only goal with your initial message is to earn a reply, because a reply equals permission to pitch. So message structure, earning the reply, right? Let's talk about the only structure that works for now, in my opinion. So why you and why now, right? These are the two things you are trying to kind of sell the prospect right now. Let's just worry about the call. Let's just take the call and let's just push it down the hallway a little bit, right? We're going to focus on getting the responses. We're going to focus on psychologically convincing the prospect that they should even give you the time of the day. Because spoiler, if you don't have the time of the day from the prospect, you're not going to book a meeting with them. Relevance, specific, low pressure. Is this easy for them, right? Is this easy for them? Structure will always be a creativity. If you follow this, you're always going to be better. So let's talk about introductions, because oh my, this is probably the most messed up thing when it comes to cold outreach, or the most mistaken. Your name plus your role is a pitch signal. My name is Tommy and I'm a copywriter. That is, I am trying to sell you a service. And I sent this to 50 other people praying that one of my darts would hit the board and hit the bullseye and send me a client. Your credentials equals social pressure in the initial message. Long intros is just a cognitive load for somebody, and you are signaling to them that the service you are providing is going to be a lot of work for them, and you are not going to be a good partner to help them do it. Cold prospects just brace when they see this. They just kind of freeze, and they're like, I don't know, this is kind of too much. Context done correctly shows why you're reaching out, right? Not who you are, just why you're reaching out to them. An external reference will always be better to a self-reference. So what I mean by this is like, hey, John, I actually know one of your, students, Robert, or let's say John sells like a e-com coaching and you guys have a mutual and like you just know this dude randomly. Like that would be one example. Or for example, like, hey John, so random. I saw your YouTube video last week on the 5 best products to test for e-com right now. I actually was dabbling in e-com for a bit. Like that's an external reference, right? So referencing something external that's relevant to them. Keep this to one line. Like your opening DM does not need to be a paragraph. Relevance over personalization, right? Personalization, like hey name, it's just surface level. It's just like not going to do anything. If you can somehow be relevant to them, the business will always see high level element. And don't worry, you're going to see examples of this later. I know you're probably wondering that, like, let me see some examples. But I need you to understand all of this so we can get over here, which is fair. So it should be specific, detailed, specific, detailed. And I'm going to say this over and over again. Specificity over detail, always. And I know that yours are probably like, well, if I'm specific and detailed, doesn't the message have to be long? No, it doesn't. The thing here is that when I say specificity over detail, is that I mean be specific shortly. Because if you do that, you're detailed. If you get into somebody's DMs and create curiosity, that's a detailed message. Because guess what? This requires a specific amount of detail of understanding your prospect to actually get a response. So now that we understand our prospects and now that we understand the pattern interruption, let's move over to here where we have some core, just key outreach principles. So I want to talk about niches here, right? And I want to talk about some bad niches, I think, right now. Fitness coaches are a bad niche, and basic make money online offers are, I think, a bad niche right now. So probably wondering why fitness coaches are a bad niche. I want to draw you guys another little chart here because I really want this video to be visual and have you understand this. So a fitness coach, right? Let's say we have our fitness coaching client, and let's say he has a 30K email list, right? 30K email list. And then me as a copywriter, we go in and we write, let's say we do 3 emails a week, right? From that, he books 20 meetings a week. And then closes 5 of them, clients. Well, now, this is only possible across a certain timeline because what will happen is his schedule timeline of what he's available when he signs 5 clients from the first month, right, will take up, let's say, a quarter of his day, right? And let's say the next month, take up another quarter of his day. Next month, another quarter of his day, and then here he's at 0. Let's say maybe he's at 20 grand a month now. And now he doesn't have any more time in his day to focus on one-on-one clients anymore. And it's very hard to scale. So don't play in fields where you can't get the prospect full results, right? You need to be reaching out to businesses that you can generally get very, very far. Let's use some bad script examples and go over them in a second. Volume. The other biggest mistake is people doing not enough volume. 5 to 10 DMs a day is not enough volume. And then they don't do any follow-ups. 5 to 10 DMs a day is nothing. You need to be doing at least 50 in my opinion. Okay, so let's go through some bad DMs that I've gotten. So I'm going to read through all these. Yo, Tommy, been seeing your content lately. Can I run a WAP clipping campaigns for you? I turn your long content into nonstop short form clips across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. WAP clipping is 5 to 10 times cheaper than paid ads. Thanks in advance. This one is probably the least bad out of all of them, but a few things did wrong. There's an obvious typo, and this compliment is not specific. I've been seeing your content lately, and then I click their profile, and they don't even follow me, so they know that this is just copy and pasted. All of this message screams is I edited your name into it. So if your prospect can kind of sniff out that they just put like the different name in there, that they just like copied the name and then like repasted it, they're never going to engage with you. Next one. What's your current booking rate for my GTMs, Tommy? I ask because I noticed a few gaps in your funnel that might be costing you calls. First of all, I don't have a funnel, so that's number one. You've clearly built a brand that pulls attention. I appreciate how you're not pushing scripts or frameworks, focusing on the basics that actually move the needle. Most coaches, I don't have an info product. I have said this over and over again on my social media. I point people in the direction of the program that I bought when I started copywriting. So if you theoretically want to take the exact same steps I did to get in the position I'm in, you can. And if you want, I'll leave the link for that in the description. You guys can check it out. It's Copy MBA, great program. We install an AI appointment system trained to your exact tone and offer quality. So the issue with this one is it's way too long. He's not even pitching me a service I need. He doesn't even understand who I am. And this just is just a word vomit where I'm like, this would be so much work to work with this guy. I recently visited your YouTube channel and I really enjoyed your content. To make your channel even more attractive and engaging for viewers, I can create eye-catching thumbnails for your videos. We would be way better off going with a sample here. Being like, hey, I made you this for you. Is this a good place to send it? I'd love to work with you and help your content stand out even more. This is another one here. I'd love to work with you is a line you should never be saying. So the reason for that is when you DM somebody, you are going to be about like this with them, about on this level, right? You're going to be a little bit below them because you are the one cold DMing them. But the second you say I would love to, all of a sudden it drops from like pretty mutual, you could say, status levels to like the prospect is a million status levels above you because you're just being like, oh, I'd love to work with you. Like, it's just very desperate, doesn't come off authentic. You guys can pause the video and read this one. This is the other thing here. This is a great example of over-promising, right? I've closed $512,000 of cash collected. Like, I'm not reading all this, and it's just too many numbers, too much data, and it just makes me think you're inauthentic. This one is very niche, but if you're just sliding on people's stories and like being like, your pick is fire. Have you played 8-ball before? Rio, because this is a pool table. It's me, my friend Blake. Shout out Blake Anderson for watching this. Great dude. Also, go check out his channel if you want like mindset advice. Great content. But yeah, like I know this guy's trying to pitch me. I know he's just sliding up to have a conversation about nothing. So kind of small that. Hey brother. It's like, just say something. Like I didn't answer this one. Like just tell me what you want. You know, you sell a course. This one, the whole like, yo, do you sell one-on-one mentorship thing? I'm gonna write this out here. Yo, do you sell one-on-one coaching? I'm gonna debunk this, why this doesn't work. So let's say, for example, if you send this to 100 people, right? All you look like is a lead. You look like somebody that is going to buy probably someone's offer. So you look like they're going to get money. The person you're DMing thinks you are going to give them money. And then you turn around, you go the other direction, and you ask them for money. It's like walking up to somebody with a $100 bill and being like, yo, do you want $100? And they're like, yeah. And then you're like, you put it in your pocket, and then you're like, hey, can I have $100 back? It's like, what? And also the other thing, I go back to in our key principles, understanding the prospect. Well, guess what? If you are using the yo, do you sell coaching? 90% of the time, you aren't even going to be talking to the cold prospect. So it's just gone. You're going to be talking to their appointment setter because they think you're a lead. So you want to be talking to the prospect so they don't think you're a lead. So 5 major tips with cold outreach before we get into some good script examples. These are, in my opinion, the 5 key principles of doing good quality outreach in 2026. Don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't need to be crazy long. You know, your first message can genuinely be one line, and it can genuinely be one word. Your DM should be easy to respond to in one word. Yes, no, sure. Simple answers will always win. Talk to prospects as you would your friends. This is so important. Do not text the prospect and be like, hello, sir. Text your prospect like you were texting your best friend. Don't name yourself. I wouldn't say, I'm Tommy, I'm a copywriter. They see my name, then they can check my profile if they want to see my content. They should leave with something. They should leave with your DM, apart from maybe and this can be interest too. So your initial DM, they should just be leaving every single DM with you with gaining something, right? So let's talk about permission-based outreach and how to do this correctly. So this is a few examples of permission-based outreach, and one of them is highlighted for a specific reason. Hey name, I came across, obviously where you found them. I actually put together a resource to help you desired outcome. Want me to send it here? And there's a bunch of different variations of this. So why is this random one that says, hey name, I saw you over on where you found them. I made a resource that should help with the outcome that you want. Is this the best place to share it? Why is this one highlighted? Well, let's take a look at why it's different. Cool if I share it here. Should I send it over? Can I drop it here? Want me to send it here? So is this the best place to send it here? If you are sending a Loom video, if you are sending a sample piece of copy, whatever it might be, is this the best place to send it will always get you further than can I send you it? Because psychologically, when you ask somebody a question, they are going to think of the answer to the question you asked them. So, for example, if I am doing outreach and I ask a prospect, hey, do you want to book a call with me? They are now going to think of the answer to my question, which is, do you want to book a call? So they're going to start going, well, do I want to book a call with this guy? Like, I don't really know him too well. Do I actually want this meeting or not? Like, However, if I say, hey, I want to get on a call and show you how this works, are you a morning or an evening person? What works better with your schedule? Well, they're now going, okay, when would be a better time to take a meeting? Yeah, I'm pretty free Friday at night. Let's respond. So you're going to get an answer to the question that you asked. So if you say, can I send you it? There's a chance you get no. I have never gotten somebody saying, no, don't send it to me when I ask this. Now, obviously speaking, you're probably wondering, whoa, why is Hey Name on here? I thought that, Hey Name was a bad opener. So I do agree with this. Yes, I do think it is. But the reason I'm putting this here is I want to show you guys what this looks like in a row. Look at this. This is 5 different scripts. Imagine you're opening 5 DMs like this. Like you have 5 of these DMs in your request app. They all look the same. And here's the thing. The only reason this is good is because of this line, right? The only reason this part is good is because of this line right here. But if the prospect only sees what's highlighted in yellow, if they only see, hey name, saw you over on, well, all of a sudden when we take out in these scripts here, when we remove all of these, right? When I remove the rest of it, because the prospect's not going to see that. They're not going to see this until they open the DM. All of the sudden, all of these DMs are the same exact thing. And that is a huge problem. A simple fix to this is just saying, that easy, saw you over, right? You don't even need to say there, like it's fine. And then you can be like, saw you over on YouTube, John or name, right? Put the personalization in the middle of the DM. Don't put the personalization at the front of the DM. It's going to just kill your response rate. So now if you have case studies and you are somebody that wants to, include those without going too overboard, this is an easy format you can use. Hey name, found you through where you found them, or again, we go back to this, same thing here, you can put it in the middle. Put together a resource that helped one of our clients add 37 booked calls a month and increase leads 42%, shorten the sales cycle. I thought it might help you get closer to your outcome. Is this a good place to send it? Want it, etc. So now that we've kind of gone through permission-based, let's go through a couple of the other different outreach frameworks that you can use, all of which are pretty solid. Now, I want you guys to understand every single one of these will require a unique opener. You need to tell your prospect, found you on here, Bob. Super easy. But just don't start this with hey name and we're good. If you get one thing in this video, don't start messages with hey name. Free sample, value first, right? So this is something where, this is really good if you're new. If you don't have case studies, this is probably what I would go with. I've never had a client and I'm trying to get my first client, this is probably going to be the one that's going to be your best friend because you're compensating by not having results by giving them a clear example of your work. So for example, if I'm hiring you as a copywriter to do my content scripts every single month and you don't have any case studies, well, let's say you send me a script and I read the script. I'm like, wow, this is really good. This is a really good script. I'm now going to assume that you have case studies because of what you sent me and the quality of the work. It's a very easy way to convey that you know what you're talking about, maybe without even having a client. Here's some variations of free sample value first outreach you can test. I rewrote the first line of one of your emails for fun. Want to see it? Return a button, right? Quick thing, had an idea for tightening your CTA. Noticed a spot in your funnel where people usually hesitate. I can give you the suggestion. Mocked up a shorter version of your VSL opening. Can send it over. Wrote you an alternative subject line for your email list. Might pull more opens. Wrote a cleaner version of one of your sales pages. So free sample value is really good if you don't have clients or experience because you're compensating for not having it with giving them some like actual resources to see your work. Open-ended intel gathering questions, but actually different. So obviously speaking, we have, our opener. So like, let's say, found you on YouTube, John, saw you're selling the course on Airbnb coaching. And then we go into our open-ended intel gathering questions in our outreach. What usually stops people from buying once they're interested? When does someone convert? By the way, these are all separate lines. Like you can test all 4 of these. When someone doesn't convert, do you assume it's traffic quality or messaging? Do most of your sales happen fast or after people sit with it for a bit? Where do you think most people lose momentum in your funnel? Permission-based, I would send these just as self. Can I give you one honest feedback on your messaging? People are going to say no to this. That's fine. This is kind of the one example here where you want to actually ask the permission. This is the one time where like, is this a good place to send? It doesn't really apply. The reason for this is because people are going to see this and they don't really feel sold to it. It's like, hey, can I give you an honest piece of advice on your messaging? I had a thought about your positioning. Want me to share it? would it be helpful if I pointed out one place you might be over-explaining? It's friendlier if it's a stranger, right? So you're being more friendly because it's like, hey, you're a random person. I totally get it, but I think this would help you. Let me know. So observation-based. Notice your content does a lot of educating and very little pushing. Is that intentional? Your offer's clear, but I feel like your urgency is muted. Is that a conscious choice? Most of your persuasion happens verbally, not in writing, with emails, stuff like that. Is that on purpose? Notice you're not really using follow-ups to sell. Is that something you've tested before? Like different services as well. When you send emails, are they meant to sell or mostly just keep attention? People usually finish a VSL or just drop earlier than you would like. Seeing your content gets attention. How intentional are you actually about converting that attention? So now that we have covered initial outreach, right? And again, we're always going to try and stand out with a unique messaging opener, like we talked about earlier in the video, to get in the primary inbox. So this is post primary inbox right here. So now I want to talk about the follow-up system that you're going to use. There will be a link in the description to a spreadsheet that you can use that I put together to track the leads that you cold DM. All you need to do is just put an X in here, change the status. There's going to be a bunch of different status drop-downs on here. All you need to do is just put an X here and then put an X on every single follow-up you do. The idea here is we're doing 5 follow-ups for each prospect. Now, you are probably wondering, like, who do I put in here? Every prospect who responds, not every prospect who you DM. This is very important. If they engage, obviously change your status accordingly and update at the start of every single day. So I do outreach at night, and then I update this at the start of the day, overnight, who responded. Now, you might be watching this wondering, like, why would I not just put everybody I DM in here? And my take on this is that it punishes you for doing what you should be doing. So let's say, for example, if I send, let's just do the math here, because here's the thing. If you don't know the math and you don't know the numbers, you're never going to really win in this. So let's say we have 50 DMs a day. So we have 50 times 7. 50 times 7 is 350 DMs every single week, right? I just want you guys to think about that for a second. 50 DMs every single week, right? Every single day, 350 DMs every single week. Then, every single month, it's 14, because 350 times 4, 1,400 new people on each one of these little lines that you have to change the status of, track every follow-up, and then next month, delete a 1,400 person list. It is not feasible to do that, and it will genuinely punish you for doing the volume that you should be doing. I promise you, I've tried. It does not work. You will spend hours simply just trying to find a lead in this sheet. Track the people that respond and leave it at that. You are way better off doing that. Now, let's talk about prospecting. There's a few ways I like to prospect. If you want to do cold email, YouTube is really good. So I'm going to Google something on YouTube like how to start investing in real estate, how to start Airbnb investing, etc. And I'm going to find someone's channel. Let's see this guy here. How I'd invest in real estate from scratch in 2025. He has a channel. I'm going to click this channel. And then when I go over to his channel, there is going to be a section to click about. I'm going to click that about section. I'm going to see, he's got all of his offers here. I can kind of check out what he's selling. Looks like this guy needs a funnel, cool. And then there's going to be a button here that says more info, and you can click this view email address button right here, and it will reveal the email that he signed up for YouTube on this channel for. And you can then send a cold email. Now, site:instagram.com. If you go Google real estate coach on YouTube, you are going to get a whole lot of nothing. You're going to get a bunch of websites, etc. However, if you put in this line of code here, site:instagram.com with a simple space, it's going to filter out all of the websites, anything that isn't an Instagram account. And you now have a way to get unlimited leads doing this. So like this works with dating coaches, with fitness coach, like whatever you're going to put in here. Obviously I don't recommend fitness coaches, but like any niche, right? And you can also do this with other stuff like investor, etc. Like just think of who your ICP is and then just put like what you think they would have in their Instagram bio. So like, for example, if somebody is selling me a coaching program on how to invest in crypto, they're probably going to have crypto coach in their bio, right? Now let's talk about a good prospect versus a bad prospect. No shade to either of these people. These are just random screenshots I found. let's talk about a bad prospect here. I hope that I can at least get this guy some fitness coaching clients by letting me, use him in a video. This is just not a good prospect to pitch copywriting to because there's not much you can do. Low follower count, saturated offer for fitness. All being said though, all the best to this guy. I hope he's absolutely crushing it. Good prospect example, right? Selling something that, a cool offer, 20 to 20K a month without relying on organic, DM me clients for help. This growth funnel right here, right? Good following. You can see that, he's verified, has a professional profile picture. This would definitely be someone who's running a legitimate business that has, the money to pay you. And then from there to message him from there, and then we'll hit this suggested accounts button, and this is going to pull up this. What we'll do is we'll just click on each of these people, send them our, outreach message from up here. We'll send them each of these, and then just go down the list here. Now, if you have clients, purge the following of your current clients. If you do not have clients, that's okay, but followings will always be a really good way to find a good list of clients. If you find somebody, you want to be looking in here, like at these prospects, whenever you're looking at them, you want to be looking for people with like 100 to 300 following, not followers, because then usually it's just people that do similar businesses and you can go pitch them too. So good client, good prospect versus a bad prospect. An offer that is not established, like a DM me keyword for coaching, right? This is good because there's a lot of room for you to build out stuff for them to actually hire you to do stuff. Niche dependent, but above 10K followers is usually good. High quality content. This is by far the most important one in here. If someone has 4,000 followers but has very high quality content and it's getting a lot of engagement, they are going to do way better than someone who's just like, filming on an iPhone, like just really not editing anything, like that content. Good engagement, so like how many comments are they getting, how many likes are they getting, etc. Active on YouTube. This one's huge because YouTube is like the most credible. It's the best way to build an actual following, right? People that watch your YouTube videos are way more involved, followed by credible people in the space. So see like who follows them, selling something in demand that nobody else is selling. This was a really good example. This is actually an old client of mine. Shout out Andres, who's watching this. Changing the world with DDPR coaching. Great guy as well. All love, brother, if you are seeing this video. He's a really good client. He was an amazing ICP. I actually worked with him when he had 3,000 followers. He was so good at this because he was literally the only person doing this niche, which is depersonalization disorder recovery, right? The only person doing this niche versus somebody who is like, I'm a fitness coach, like just another fitness coaching. Again, no shade to these people. One of these pages will take 30K follower count, way higher in terms of revenue generation, simply because the offer that they are selling is way less saturated. Now, remember, this is the thing that I want you guys to understand here. Whenever you're doing your batch of outreach, right, you are literally running a sales funnel for yourself. So if you have multiple stages of your funnel, the biggest mistake that I see people make is, let's say they have, we'll draw this in red up here, because nobody's responded yet. So we have red here, and then we have green down here. We have green down here too. And then we'll go like dark green for like really warm leads. So up here, these are red prospects because they haven't responded yet. The second that somebody actually responds to you and responds to what you're saying, they get moved down here in your funnel because they are now in your, well, everybody say it with me, primary inbox. And then once they start engaging with you, after that, they move down the next stage in the funnel and they are being set. They are being set by you to get on a call. And once the appointment is set, they now have a sales call with you. And what people do is they will try to hyper prioritize this area. You should not be even looking at someone's account being like, would this be a good client, until this stage here, the primary inbox stage. So just fire off your DMs, see who you can get in the primary inbox right here. And then from there, you can kind of like divide down with like, okay, would this person be a good client? Would this person be a bad client, etc. Because that's the number one thing that's going to be super important, is literally just making sure that they are going to be a high quality lead. But you shouldn't do that up here, because what will happen is you'll spend way too much time being like, oh, I wonder if this guy's going to be a good client. Like, I wonder if, he hasn't followers, whatever. Well, he hasn't even responded to you yet. You don't know that. So don't waste time here, because what will happen is you'll end up doing like 5 to 10 DMs every single day and you won't get the volume you want. Now, the last thing I want to cover in this video is outreach is exponential. And what happens is if I do outreach for one, here, let me actually erase this real quick. If I do outreach, we're going to zoom in a little bit more. If I do outreach for like one day, right? And I send 20 DMs. Then I do outreach the next day. I send 20 DMs. We'll say here, one blue line equals 20 DMs. Let's say I do day 3, day 4, and then I don't see any results with it. And then I stop, right? So then I do day 5, I send 0 DMs. Day 6, I send 0 DMs. Day 7, I send 0 DMs. Day 8, I send 0 DMs. Day 9 and day 10, I send 0 DMs. And then I'm on 10 days. Well, maybe equals a booked call for green. Maybe your booked call, your sales call, was going to be on day 10. And if you just kept doing this, you would have gotten here. But because you stopped and you sent 0 DMs on those days, you lost. So I can tell you that some people's outreach looks like this. Some people's outreach looks like this. And some people's outreach looks like this. We're just going to keep pasting these here. Some people's outreach looks like this, where they don't send a meeting, and so here, and then it's 3 meetings in a row. So look at these different examples. I can't tell you what yours is going to look like, but what I can tell you is that if you do enough volume every single day and you keep your blue lines in count, and we don't have any red lines. We don't want these red lines. They're terrible. You keep your blue line in count. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, you will get to a booked meeting, which is your entire goal of watching this video is to book an appointment to close a client. Doesn't matter if you're getting no results on day 7, because what if you get crazy results on day 10? Just keep staying in the game. And the other thing as well is you need to understand that outreach lag and outreach fatigue doesn't exist. Chances are that this booked meeting came from maybe like day 23 right here or something, and if you skip a day, you're just delaying this process by doing, like a bunch of like no days where you don't send DMs. You're just delaying it. And then also what people do is they'll be like, oh, I'm going to change my script here on this day. And then, I change the script and then it doesn't work on this day. So I'm going to change the script again. And then they just stay in this trap of like basically being stuck on day 1. So when it comes to testing data, typically 100 to 150 DMs is going to be your test data at 10% OR, open rate. So if you send 150 DMs and you get 10% open rate, that's a decent script. You can A/B test for a better one. But if it's below that, you should be switching the script up. So that is most of this Miro board. And that is, I know we're kind of coming to the end of the time of this video. I want to give you guys one final thing here, and is that outreach is a very difficult time. It's one of those things where you feel very kind of lost and alone in the trenches. You're like, I really hope that I can sign a client one day. I really hope that I can make this all work. I can tell you with full confidence right now that the more you focus on the input every single day, where it's a really good day if you did 50 DMs, versus, oh, it's a really good day if I got 5 responses, the better you're going to be. Because you need your brain to be as consistent as possible when it comes to doing cold outreach. You need to genuinely be just so consistent. If maybe it takes 5 months to book a sales call and then the next month you make 20 grand. That, I've seen it happen. It can happen. But don't let yourself fall into this trap of like, it just hasn't been working. I'm going to go on to the next thing. And it's been like 3 weeks. You need to stay consistent every single day. And if you don't have a client, you don't have anything else you need to be doing other than this. This should be priority number 1. Your revenue driving activities need to be the first priority for you, especially if you don't have work that you actually have to fulfill for a client. This is the most important aspect of any of this. And if without consistency, everything that I've taught you in this last hour of this video just completely falls apart if you can't stay consistent and put the time into doing the work. And just remember, I believe in you. I know you can do it. I know you can book a meeting, and I know it can be super difficult, but remember, everyone else doing outreach feels the same way, right? We're in the trenches, you're in the arena, you're playing the game, and that's amazing, and you should be proud of yourself for that. So that is it for this video. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to leave the link to my Instagram down below in the comment section. I post daily content on there, so go give me a follow. I'll leave a link to Copy MBA down there too, program I joined when I started. And if you are an info product owner that just watched this video to kind of get more insights on how to sell to your prospects as well, and you want to work with me one-on-one where I can help you scale your coaching business, I will leave a link below for that too, to just book a demo call, not a sales call, literally just let's chat. Let me give you some value, see how this works, etc. And also, if you guys like this video, please drop me a comment. I've spent a lot of time making this. Let me know down below if you guys want me to make more videos like this style, and I will see you guys in the next video.